Don't speak too loudly, so we got a lot of empty chairs up front. Don't be shy. You guys can sit up front if you want. Good, come on up. I haven't got a clue what I'm going to say, but I'll be with you for the next 2 hours. It may wind up that way, but let's hope not. Let me do this. Guys, please shut your phones off. Shut them off. Completely, please. No vibrate, no air mode, please, man, shut them off. Fine, and you? It was, I feel it's a matter of respect, and I was listening to the speaker this morning. I think he's back there someplace, and I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate all the speakers I heard. But while he was sharing, I kept hearing phones, and then people would walk outside with their phone, and thinking that that's okay. Well, let me tell you, getting up and walking outside disturbs the meeting. Any interruptions during the meeting is inappropriate. And if you want more clarification of that, read the fifth tradition. Okay. It's deadly important. And just let me get this off my chest. The chanting during the readings, totally inappropriate. Totally. We have newcomers. Thank God we have newcomers. And what they hear stays with them. And if we chant sick and stuff like that, what do you think they're going to remember? This is a program of hope. That's what we have to offer. This is not a drug program. This is a recovery program. So just keep that in mind, guys. You're going to do what you're going to do. But just keep that in mind. It's inappropriate.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I asked for this chair. It's my thing. It's my thing, but I need help. All of us know somebody or have known somebody that suffers from our disease. Perhaps in the past, or just is still suffering. Let's take a moment or two and put that person's image in this chair as we pray for the newcomer to find us. Thank you, Jim. Greatly appreciate it. In my world, the newcomer is the most important person in me. Primarily, I'm a selfish guy. And if you follow that through, I feel you, brother. I feel you. I pulled my brother out of the river. Our disease put him there. And we couldn't find him until the weather changed in the state of Oregon. And his body floated to the top. And I wouldn't leave until I found him. And I found him. And I reached my hand into that river to pull him out. And it fell apart in my hands. Our disease is a horrible disease. And this is not a game. We socialize before the meeting, and we have a good time after the meeting, but during the meeting, this is a matter of life and death. It's what we do here that saves lives or not. So it's really important. And that's the image that I saw as we were meditating on this chair. And believe it or not, I'm a tough guy. I don't fuck around, pardon me, but I cry, man. You know, I learned it's okay to cry. Like I said earlier, I don't know exactly what I'm going to say here tonight. I can tell you this, wherever I am, there will be Narcotics Anonymous. I've been places where it wasn't until I showed up. I was a member of the World Literature Committee, the very first one, as we were writing the basic text for Narcotics Anonymous. And I can tell you, when I got here, we didn't have much literature. We had some literature that was written by some people together and singularly. Jimmy Cannon, everybody should know that name. Greg Pierce, Bob, a few others that were here. I've been very fortunate to spend time with these men, all of them. And those pins came from his 50-year anniversary. Some of you guys might have been at the World Convention in San Diego, and maybe you didn't even know what was going on. But we rented a wing at that hotel, and we threw a party for Bob's 50 year, and we broke history. No one has ever hit 50 years before Mr. Barrett. And Bob was a good friend of mine. He came to the Topanga Tranquil meeting to see me. We talked, we'd eat together for many years. He was my grand sponsor for a while till he passed, and I loved him dearly. Speaking of which, before I get too far away from that, I went to a convention recently, and they had a history workshop, and a guy was talking about some of the history and how it got started, and he mentioned Bob. And for those of you guys that don't know Bob, if you read the basic text, matter of fact, read the basic text. There's a story in there, and it starts out with, my name's Bob B., and I found the first Narcotics Anonymous meeting in the world, or the only Narcotics Anonymous meeting. And which, personal note, I tried to get him to change his story because it really wasn't true. It was his wife that found the meeting, kicked his ass out. But anyway, the history guy was giving some history and mentioning Bob, and then mentioning that when Bob showed up, he came to a few meetings, then he left. And he didn't come back for a long time. And I'm telling you this story because both Bob and Jimmy told me the same story. So it's true, it's right on the money. Bob did leave, and the reason he left is because there wasn't any black people. Okay, he felt different. Once again, we feel different, and he felt different. And Jimmy noticed and realized what was happening, and Jimmy went back to him and found him in LA and said, you got to come back to the fellowship, and talked Bob into coming back to the fellowship for the next black person that walks through the door so he doesn't leave because there's no black people there. And so we had Bob Barrett, God bless him. He came back and he staunched. He stayed. He became of service like no one else. So God bless him. So I just wanted to give you that little bit of history. I got a million of them. As far as me, you know, I don't know if you were counting on your toes or what, but I got clean in 1975. And in addition to saying that, I want to tell you that I ain't no different than you. No different. We're the same, guys, whether you like it or not. I have all the feelings that you have. I've rejected all the emotions that you have. I've denied all the shit that you have. I suffer from the same disease that you have. There is no higher or lower. Our key in the Fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous. I'm only one drug away from being a newcomer. It's that clear. This is Narcotics Anonymous is a fellowship that saves lives. That's what we do. And anything that diverts us from that is out of line. Anything. And that's why the fifth tradition is so important. I've started meetings all over the world, guys. I've traveled all over the world for our fellowship. Not because I'm this great, wonderful person and I like to do everything for everybody. Quite the opposite. I'm selfish, I'm stingy, and I did it so I could stay clean. I remember the first person that ever asked me to sponsor him. I only had like 3 months or something. And I was talking about beating up a cop. You know, he identified with me. And he came up to me and he said, "Hey, will you be my sponsor?" I said, "Get the hell away from me, man. What makes you think you got enough sense to pick a sponsor?" You know? And believe it or not, guys, we didn't know much about sponsorship back then. We winged most of everything we did. We learned by fault mostly. And then Jimmy heard about it. And I used to go to Jimmy's house every day for probably his last 15 years alive. And he'd put everybody to work. He was like, I picked that up from him. You know, new people, wash on, wash off. You know, this is what we do. And yeah, I told Jimmy, yeah, these newcomer guys, man, they don't know what's good for them. How do they know that I'd be good for them? You know, and this is what he told me. And the reality was, I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't think I knew enough. I didn't think I grew enough, any of that stuff. And he said, "Listen, brother, if you got 2 days clean, you can show the guy with no days how to get 1 day." And that's how it all began. So it's real simple. You know, we have a tendency to click. You know, when we find our fellowship and our home groups, and we have a tendency to click. Well, let me tell you something. In my home group, nobody gets through that door without a hug. Nobody. We got 4 doors and we got them covered. 1 man and 1 woman. And I got my eye on it. It's a trip what happens. One night I was standing there and I'm looking at the main door, and this big old guy comes in. He looked like he'd been pushing some weight and shit. Apparently, I found out later he just got out of the pen. And he walked in, and this little guy, we had a little guy at the door, he's going, and the guy's going, "What are you doing, man? What's wrong with you?" You know, and I caught it, and I walked over there, and I said, "Is there a problem here?" He goes, "I don't know what this guy's trip is, man, but he's trying to give me a hug." And I said, "Yeah, come here, man." And I grabbed him around the neck, and I bent him over, and I gave him a hug, and I kissed him on his cheek. He goes, "Man, what's up with this?" I said, "Come on over here, sit with me." You know, that's what we do. We don't let them slide. You know? That's just what we do. I used to think I was a tough guy. And come to find out after all that, fighting and, you know, jails, institutions, including death, 3 times, I was just scared. You know, I was just scared. And I know I'm not talking for myself, we always thought we were different. And this addict always felt different because I was, and I didn't know why. I didn't play well with others. I got beat every day of my life by my own man. My mom died of cancer at a real early age. She had 8 kids. We were lost. And we were abused, every single one of us. And when we finally found our real dad, he didn't want anything to do with us. And he would go to some bar and pick up some chick and marry her and bring her home. There's the kids, take care of them. You know, and he would beat me into manhood, literally. He would say shit like that. I'll teach you how to be a man. And you guys probably heard it more than once. I'll give you something to cry about. What the hell are you crying about? You know? So I missed out on the childhood. I had some problems, guys, some real problems that they weren't aware of at the time. I stuttered terribly, and people would laugh at me and I'd hit them because I thought that's what I was supposed to do because my old man taught me how to hit. You know? And I tried going to school and the kids would laugh at me. I didn't know I was dyslexic. My nickname from my dad was Dummy. I was an embarrassment. He'd bring his friends over and I couldn't put two words together and he'd say, "Get out of here, Dummy." Give me a kick in the ass and send me on my way. I believe today that my old man did what the best he could. I don't blame him. I don't resent him. If I was to do that, would that be right, or should I resent his father, or his father's father, or his father's father's father? And what's that do to me? Narcotics Anonymous showed me a new way of life. Through the application of the steps, these are spiritual principles that I knew nothing about. I've been locked up many times. I had 5 felonies before I was 18 years old, and they tried me as an adult on every one of them for fighting with cops. Because my old man taught me how to hate them. After I got clean, I was volunteer at the Malibu Sheriff's Department for 15 years. Mopping floors and shit, trying to make amends. Same thing with the fire department. I was a volunteer at Topanga City with the fire department because I started a few fires. You know, people I didn't like or I didn't think they treated me right, and I burnt their shit down. And I'm not even a pyro. So I had a lot of making up to do. I can tell you this, guys. I can go another 200 years doing service and still not repay the damage that I've done in my society. And I know some of you can relate. Some of you haven't reached that and don't have to. You know, that's, man, what I didn't know is we could quit any time. I didn't use drugs all my life. A lot of wine, Italian, you know, at every meal, you know, a lot of wine. But after my boxing career was over, Chick Hearns had something to do with that. You guys probably don't, I don't know if there's anybody old enough here to remember Chick Hearns, but he didn't like me hitting cops, so I couldn't box anymore. Mike Tyson wasn't even born yet, so forget about him. You know, biting off ears and shit like that. But, you know, all of my experiences, striking out at you, striking out at society, I was sad and I was hurt. I didn't have a chance. I couldn't read or write when I found the Fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous. I should say when the fellowship found me. I couldn't read. I made my name with an X. No one cared enough about me to make sure that I could get through life, the basics. You know, we went hungry most of the time. And by the way, I'm from a different country. It's called Brooklyn. And I'm a self-exclaimed country boy from Brooklyn. I love the country. Yeah, it was rough back then. And I believe that I had to do everything that I had to do to get where I am today. Today, my experiences teach me how to have a better day. And of course, your experiences do the same for me as well. I keep losing friends, man. When you get to a certain age, a lot of friends die. It breaks my heart. That's why it's so important for me to make new friends. I'm still a little tough guy. I don't fuck around. This tape isn't going to go into schools or anything like that, is it? It might, I don't know. We do that, you know. But today I have friends, people I love. There's a whole row of them right here. These guys came up to support me and Glenn. I came up here for Glenn primarily because he's going through it with a girl who had passed, and one of my old sponsees had passed. So we're kind of holding each other up like we're supposed to do. You know, we're here for each other. I'm not, like I said earlier, I'm no better than anybody else. I'm just here with you. One of the things that I don't like about countdowns, I've been to certain places where I stood there, you know, as they counted down, and sometimes it'd be a 20, 30-year gap till the next one's there. And guys, I don't like that. You know, my heart gets heavy with that. I'm standing there alone, feeling different again. I don't like that. You know, so I need you guys to stay clean. You know, there's more guys coming up after you. Quite frankly, we break records every single day. I don't know who's history buffs or anything like that here, but every single day the Fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous is saving more lives than they did the day before. Every day, because it works if you work it. When I got clean, no judge in the country would send you to a program named Narcotics Anonymous. No judge in the country. We didn't have court cards. We didn't have 3 strikes. We didn't have none of that shit. And we did some 12-step work, real 12-step work. Today it seems like our 12-step work is grabbing somebody and sticking them in a treatment center somewhere. It was never like that before. We put them on couches, and we made our sponsees do the same thing, switch them one night, you know, to the next. I took a little break before I got up here, and I asked my higher power to please remove my defects of character. I listened to the speakers. Thank you guys. God bless you, each and every one of you. And we talked about all the important stuff. You know, and I want you to know, I'm a liar, I'm a cheat, and I'm a thief. I just don't do that no more. Okay? Because that's where my disease took me. It was never, the way my old man taught me was do unto them before they do unto you. Take from them before they take from you. And I thought that was the way to live. And all it did was get me in trouble. I expected to die from the bullet of a cop. When Narcotics Anonymous found me, I had no desire to live at all. I was done. But for the grace of God, then my desperation turned into passion. And it didn't come easy. Hard head. We got a word for that in Italian. It's called destadura. Hard head. I got a hard head. Every step was a struggle for me. Every step. I had to learn how to read while I was on the literature committee for the basic text. I had to learn how to read. And I'd call my sponsor up more times than not. And hey, is that N? Is that with 1 hump or 2 humps? And people would walk me through it and stand by me and go, see this? This is an A. And once I learned a few things, I went to school. And I was the only American in the class, you know, and it's okay, because I learned some shit, and I continued my education. Today I got some degrees, and I went to the Mid-Valley Law University and for 2 years, and you know, I wasn't just a jailhouse Lord Harold. I just did some shit. You know? And we can do stuff regardless of the fear. You know about fear. See, we always thought we were different, each and every one of us. I'm here tonight to tell you that you're not a piece of shit. I don't care what you did. You're not a piece of shit. You're a man. You know, learning how to live life without the use of drugs. We're not responsible for our disease. We are responsible for our recovery and what we do. We take responsibility for that. And we live with the things that we've done. Share something very intimate that I haven't shared for quite a while. My friend reminded me of that. See, I told you, man, I'm a sniveler, man. I don't get it. Where does shit come from? Damn emotions and shit. I lost my boxing career. I couldn't read or write. I was unemployable. I didn't have any skills. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And somebody said, try this. I got into the biker world. Stole my first Harley when I was 14. And I continued from there. Actually, that bike was made up of about 4 or 5 other stolen Harleys. I found what I thought was peace. Remember that first time, guys? Never seen it again. The rest of it, even when it stopped working, I couldn't stop using it. I was tearing my girlfriend apart. She loved me very much. She was a homely girl. She was from Pennsylvania. And her dad was a cop. We had lots of fun. And he hated me. And she ran away with me. She was the sweetest girl I ever met in my life. And I wasn't worthy. She deserved much more. And my using got out of control. And we kept getting cheaper in housing and less food because I was using so much. And we had a baby. And she was on me real hard. And we got to stop, we got to take care of our baby. She didn't even smoke. She was such a sweetheart. And I made a few deals with her, you know, about quitting. Here, take this little bit and stash it and just give me this every hour, 2 hours. And that was before detox was a thing. We didn't have any detox. And none of that seemed to work. None of it. So I needed her on my side. So I made her a deal. I said, baby, you gotta try this. And if you don't like it, I'll quit. So I set the mood in this little tiny apartment that I had. Turned on the record player. I think it was Coltrane or Johnny Mathis or something like that. Some nice soothing music. And I was going to give her some of the drug that I was using. And she was willing because she wanted me to quit so badly. And when I gave her that drug, she never woke up. And she left me with a 6-month baby. And because of my disease, she passed. And these kind of things, it doesn't go away. It doesn't go away. It's always here. Always. And today I've learned to use my experience to help others. And I'll continue this story. I shared it at the World Convention. I was a speaker at the World Convention in Chicago in 1993. And I shared it there because I had a breakthrough with my son. I had my son in my child. Every year at his birthday, he would ask me, "Hey, Dad, you want to tell me about my mom?" I couldn't. How are you going to tell him, that, you took her life? And I tell him, no, I'm not ready. And right before the convention, I knew I had to get honest. Because I'm speaking in front of thousands of us. And you know whether I'm lying. You know, just like I know you do. And I couldn't do it. I had to break it to him. He was in my truck and he asked me, "Pops, you ready to tell me about my mom?" And I pulled over on somebody's new mowed lawn. I got out of the truck and I told him what had happened. And we both wept, holding each other. And I gave him permission to hate me, because I did. And he said, I'll hate you, Pop. He said, "I'm glad you told me, because I thought my mom committed suicide because she didn't want me. And here the truth sets us free." And he said, "If you were still using, I would hate you, but I see the good you do in the world today." These kind of things don't leave us, guys. The steps don't take that away. The steps allow us to live with who we are and what we've done. That's what they're for. They teach us a new way to live so we don't repeat the same thing all over again. So don't get it wrong. Don't get it mixed up, man. Just because you're going to work a few steps, that doesn't mean that everything's going to be peaches and cream. You got to work your ass off, man. Like I said, I'm still inside, I'm still a little tough, especially with my sponsees. I don't want them to die. I love addicts. I love addicts. I may not love you individually, but I love addicts, man. Best people in the frickin' world. Best people in the world. Even when I was locked up, and there was a time where the cops' mentality was, if you were an addict, the only good addict was a dead addict. There was no hope for us. None. The judicial system spit on us and threw us in the trash where we belonged, according to them. And they didn't like that no more. Today we're making it. We're making it with each other. We're helping each other up this ladder of life. And it's so important, man, that we don't get too caught up in our cliques and in our groups, that we can't go up and hug a newcomer or a stranger we've never seen before. I was speaking at a camp out down, I don't remember if it was Mississippi or one of those states down there, and it was like a camp out. I think they call it a campvention. And I show up early, it's something I do. I show up early when I'm asked to speak, because most of the time the local fellowship or the region or whatever it is pays for me to come out to share. And so I feel an obligation. So I show up early to hit some of the local meetings where people can have exposure of me that's not going to be at the convention, like we did last week. At celebration thing. We had a nice fire going out in the yard, and it was great. And that's what I do. I stay a couple days late so I can continue that and meet people. And in this particular campvention, I showed up 2 days early, and I was walking around the campus. It was real nice, beautiful grass and all that stuff. And nobody had passed people up, and nobody would smile at me or say hi to me. They didn't know me, And I stepped into the hospitality room a few times, and nobody came up and said, hey, how you doing, or any of that shit. So I was getting pissed. It's my fellowship, nobody's, and so I just swallowed it until I got to share. Then I gave him hell. I did. I freaking reamed him. And the time that I did that, sometimes it's not appropriate from the podium, but I'm out of control. What can I tell you? I shared that I had been here for a couple of days, and not one of those people came up to me, asked me who I was, or give me a hug. Not one of them. Until they found out that I was the speaker. And then everybody wanted to know me. I don't play that shit. And when I was sharing this with the people, hey, I've been here, nobody came up and hugged me and said anything to me. I heard a young girl crying. She was about 3 or 4 rows up. She was crying. I was standing on a platform. And I looked down at her and she was crying tears. And I said, are you okay, honey? She goes, yeah, I've been here 2 days and I got 3 days clean and nobody said hi to me. Damn straight, man. I said, come here, baby. And we got her up there and we loved her to death. But it takes somebody. We got these little cliques and we're comfortable when somebody's dying. It doesn't take much. It doesn't take much. I see you. I've been walking around there for a while, a couple of days. I see you. I looked in your eyes. You passed me up. Some of you reached out, grateful. I smile. I don't get it back. Some of you did. That's why I'm still here. I don't mind leaving. I've done that before. I just walk right out. Especially when somebody's being rude in the back. Matter of fact, I was at a convention, somebody reminded me of this. One of the guys that are here, oh yeah, we heard you at a convention and you wouldn't share because somebody was talking in the audience. That's who I am. Just because he's rude, I don't want to be rude. You want to talk? I'll be quiet. See what interesting shit you got to say. It's that simple. You can sit here in silence. I'm just that way. I didn't travel all those miles to listen to myself. So now you're getting a taste of who I am, right? Right? We got it. And I'm that way with my sponsees too. I don't play games. You either work the steps or die. You know the rest of that, right? That's right. I don't play games. I don't be patting people on the back, telling them it's going to be okay. Oh, you don't like it? What are you going to do about it? What step does this apply to? Let's get busy. I ain't that guy that's going to give you a tit. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it's okay. Fuck that. Get up off your ass and do something about it. Life's not easy, man. Life's hard for all of us. Let's learn how to live in it. Let's do something good for the world. Let's make sure we know who the newcomers are. Make them feel welcome. Most newcomers, including myself when I was a newcomer, the first thing they do is they look for the differences, right? First thing. Second thing, oh, but you don't understand. Right? I mean, I think we probably all did that. But we got to keep them coming back. And the only way we're going to do that is the direct application of what our fellowship is meant for. Hope. That's what we have to give, is hope. Thank God I came in when I came in, because people didn't tell me what I needed to do. And they knew better. I don't take orders very good, very much. Instead, they told me what they did to stay clean. Because I asked them, man, how did you do? Somebody, I think it was last night, maybe Kev, I don't remember, was talking about raising your hand at home group, about who's available for sponsorship. I never raised my hand. Hey, you want my help? You stand right here in front of me. You look me in the eye. There's magic in asking for help. I know that because I had to do that. And the magic happened. Right? I don't put my name on a list. What the fuck's that? Put your name on a list. They're supposed to. This is my MO. You get a sponsor, somebody whose recovery you admire. Simple shit, man. Somebody whose recovery you admire. How do you know that from a list? Different strokes for different folks. If it works in your home group or whatever, then it works. Great. I don't do that. I don't put my name on a list. I don't raise my hand. You want what I got? Step up. And you better damn well make sure you want it because you're going to work for it. Just like I did. My brother Glenn over here said that after relapsing, right, and that's usually the mode with me, the guys are sick and tired of being sick and tired, they come to the source. What can I do? And he came to me and I went, you sure? You sure this is what you want? Are you ready for this? Right? I tried to talk him out of it. Because I don't play games. You want it, you got to get it the way I got it. I work for my recovery. I listen to my sponsor. Guys, my sponsor has been my sponsor since June 8th, 1975. Same guy. Knows everything about me and loves me anyway. Right? I love him dearly. One of the best compliments I ever got from the podium, somebody said, man, for a couple minutes there you sounded like your sponsor. Oh, yeah. I swear to God, most humblest guy you ever want to meet. You know what I mean? Like me. Yeah, and we have a good time. We ride motorcycles together, we go to conventions all over the world, and we have a good time. And I got to tell you, myself and a guy by the name of Greg Pierce started Southern Oregon Fellowship. I showed up and he was struggling. He tried to start a meeting, and it wasn't happening. And he had a lot of tenacity. He kept trying and trying. And I showed up, and together we started the first meeting in Grants Pass. And now I'm told it's about ready to become its own region. There were so many meetings there today. And there's history there, too. I got a phone call from a guy up there going, why didn't you tell me you were part of this? And I go, why would I do that? And he goes, well, I just found the history books, and your name's all over this thing. And I went, wherever I am, there will be Narcotics Anonymous. Wherever I am. I learned that from Jimmy K. You know what he'd tell us? Oh, you got a resentment about your meeting? Go start another one. That's what he'd tell us. You know what we needed to start a meeting?
Coffee pot.
A resentment and a coffee pot. That was it. And every coffee pot I got, I took my knife out and went, NA, man. And fill that sucker up. Strong coffee. We got to talking. And that's when meetings were an hour and a half, 2 hours. And that's the old school. We'd go to a meeting to recover from our disease, and then we'd take a break to go outside and practice our disease. And then we started smoking in the house, in building. At my home group, when I started that in 1986, I started the Topanga Tranquil meeting. We had the girls on this side, and the women and the men on this side, and over here was the smoking area, as if nobody was going to catch that one. And we had a fire right here. It's like, yeah. Listen, guys, my home group is the Topanga Tranquil meeting of Narcotics Anonymous in the West End area of the San Fernando Valley. You're all welcome. If you can handle the hug. Because nobody gets in those doors without getting a hug. Nobody. I was talking to one of my friends over here about the home group situation. Oh, maybe it was Kevin. Still a friend. And, my home group is not something to where so you can just come in and vote or just be a home group just because you show up. You cannot tell anybody that you're a home group member. We do that. The home group members will tell you if you're a home group member. Huh? Weird? You think? Yeah, we don't want anybody changing our meeting. Nobody. We want to do that. If we find the need, we'll do that. Because we're invested. Because a lot of people don't like it. You know why? They're not allowed to have phones. Everybody's addicted to their phone. Right? An hour. You can't put your phone away for a freaking hour? For your personal recovery? Are you shitting me? I was much better off when the damn phone was tethered to the frickin' wall. You know? And then most of us, you know, if we were at work, well, we gotta wait till tomorrow, call them back, it's kind of late now. You know, not much you can do about it. Phone's a great tool, but it has no place at a meeting. That's got a timer on it. You know, and then we can usually work around that. Because people at meetings, according to the fifth tradition, the meetings are the most powerful vehicle we have for carrying the message. And when you're in your own head and in your own shit on your phone, you ain't doing that. And you very well may not hear something that might save your life. So we don't have phones at our home group. No, we don't take them away from you, but we will kick your ass out if we hear it. Oh, don't do it. Don't do it. You know, it's not good. We make it very clear at the beginning of the meeting. It's in the format. Right? Also, you have to have a commitment if you want to be a home group member. And you have to hold that commitment for 3 months before you can even vote at the home group or have anything to say. Huh? Well, try it sometime. Nobody's going to like it. Your home group will become very small. You know, it'll become very small at first. And then it'll grow because you'll get a period of people that love Narcotics Anonymous and want to help them more and more. It'll happen. You know the old saying, you build it, they will come. And yeah, that's the way it works. And then we have to vote you in. So you don't get a vote. You can't be coming in there going, oh, I want to change this. No phones allowed. Yeah, well, fungu. That ain't going to happen. That doesn't work. And we got a great cake. We got a cake maker. We got great cakes. We celebrate. Matter of fact, on the 19th, with my crew, guys, the guys that I hang out with, my peers, I'm the baby. They send me to go get the coffee. Hey, kid. Yeah, go get us some coffee. Yeah, I'm the baby. And I love it. Every minute of it. I don't want to lose these guys. On the 19th, my good friend Jack Bernstein will be coming up, celebrating 51 years. And I always wait for him to celebrate at my home group, for me to celebrate with him. He's out of Brooklyn, he's out of the East Coast, we knew each other back in the day. He didn't like me, I didn't like him. We didn't hang out with the same people because he looked funny. Don't tell him I said that. And of course, my sponsor is also his sponsor. And both of them guys got a lot more time than I do. And I learned from them. And that's how I teach, by example. I may give you a suggestion or two, take it or leave it. But I ain't from Missouri, but keep looking, keep watching, show me. You know, this is what we do, show me. I've got a lot of years traveling for our fellowship. I've been to many different countries. And again, it's only because I want to stay close. That's the only reason. I used to have a lot of hopes and dreams and goals, and I want this and I want that, and I want this blonde over here, and I want this house and picket fence and all that shit. You know what I want today? I got two goals, two main goals today. Two main goals that actually guide my life. Number one, get as close to my God as humanly possible while I'm here on this earth. As humanly possible. And number two, one more day clean. Just one, man. I don't know if you realize it or not, but we're miracles. The disease of addiction kills us, and we've survived. Don't throw that away. We need you. Grab a newcomer every time you go to a meeting. Step out of your room. Go find them. Just imagine if each and every one of us would bring a newcomer to a meeting. Every time we went to a meeting, a different newcomer. Imagine all the lives we'd save, especially in today's world, so troubled. You know, and they're starting so young. I got clean when I was 26. The guys that were there, the whole fellowship has changed. At that time, we didn't talk about addiction. We talked about specific chemicals. That's why we don't say alcohol addict. Because when we do that, it refers that we have two separate diseases. And we don't. We write it real clear. Alcohol is a drug. If you go to other fellowships, please, guys, respect that fellowship with the language of that fellowship. It's okay, do whatever you need to do, but respect the fellowship in which you are. Because when we identify like that, we give other people, especially new people, the idea that we have two separate diseases. Oh, well, that wasn't a problem. I could have some of that. More addicts have died because they picked up alcohol. We used to, that's the way it was back in the day. Fix, pill, or drink. And Jimmy Kennan in the early 80s said, we got to stop that. We know more today about our disease. We know it's a matter of addiction. And I looked at my own life, and I was addicted, obsessive, compulsive with fighting. I couldn't go to sleep unless I had a few fights under my belt that day. I would hurt people real bad, and I'd get off on it. And on the street, I'd take body parts and shit and get off on it, thinking I was somebody. I was obsessed with it, right? My addiction started a long time before I used drugs. A long time. So I am an addict in all ways. And I've even got a video of Jimmy saying, listen guys, we got to stop this language. There's two great things, two of the greatest things, in my opinion, about Narcotics Anonymous. One, we're not drug specific. And two, we're not God specific. Whatever works for you, works. And if it doesn't work, try mine. Or someone else's. Okay? Thank you for letting me know, because I get carried away. I told you guys it's going to be a 2-hour meeting. Thank you, brother. You know, I could sit and talk about history, for hours. My history with our fellowship. I'm not one of the founders. Thank God people were here before me. Some of the greatest people in the world. I miss them. I see them every day. And remember, guys, if you lost somebody, during your process, a loved one, somebody that you loved in one way or another, you can always walk with them anytime you want. We learn things like this during my 11th step, and we go on. I do. I walk with my wife. I walk with Jimmy Cannon. I hear his voice. As a matter of fact, I got a fight with him at his kitchen. I broke his kitchen chair. I threw it across the kitchen. This is written. This is in the book. True story. He was trying to teach me that this is a program of need and not greed. Because I was married and I wanted another woman. And he goes, no, man, we don't do that no more. And I went, oh, you're just an old man. You probably forgot how it was. And he stood up. We were at his kitchen table, and he rolled up his sleeves. He was a Scot. He was Scottish. And he had these bony-ass knuckles. And he was twice as tall as me, and he rolled up his sleeves and said, come on. We've been fighting you Italians all my life. Stand up. Swear to God. And I picked up the chair, and I went, you stupid old man, I'll hurt you. And I threw the chair, and as I was walking out, of course, I told him that. and Jimmy and I got to be real good friends, and I think about him every day. Him and Bob and Pepe and all the others that have given me lessons. And from this gathering, I'll be thinking about a few of you that have taught me some lessons. And lessons to come yet, too, my brother. I can learn something from everybody. And yeah, it changes. I change. If you don't change, your recovery date does. You gotta change. Hopefully all of you have a sponsor. If you don't have a sponsor, you're being sponsored by a damn fool. Point blank. Because you think you still have the answers. You still do what you used to do. You can't do it alone, guys. And we're here. And all you got to do is step up and ask for help. Like the rest of us have done. This is what works. In closing, gentlemen, I want to say that if you be an addict of my kind, I will pray that you don't use. But if you use, you better pray that you're not an addict. Thank you and God.